Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pritchard Pub. This afternoon we have Mr. Vaughn Coleman, creator of Phenomenova.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell us what you're all about, and we'll get into your world here.
So my name is Vaughn Coleman. I'm the creator of a comic book called Phenomenova. I'm the president and founder of Rebel Oasis Studios. Phenomenova is a comic book that I have been working on. Well, it's really more of a story I've been working on for years. It wasn't always called Phenomenova. It wasn't even always a comic book. But, when I was a little kid, I'd have ideas for stories, for movies. And then, not only did my love of storytelling evolve into comic books, but it started with, so I was a big superhero fan from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and the X-Men movies. So those were my biggest influences when it came to this comic, right? Like, because the setup is very much like the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. In fact, I'd say that was my biggest inspiration for this particular issue, right? For the series overall, maybe more Claremont's X-Men, but for this particular issue, yeah, I would say Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, but it was kind of that mixed with the first X-Men movie where you have Wolverine kind of folding into a team trained by other characters. So, I was inspired by those things. And then I wanted more superheroes and more. And I'd hear about these things called comic books that apparently were pretty cool. And eventually it was like, flash forward, and I'm in sixth grade now, and I've been watching Batman the Animated Series on TV. They've been doing reruns every day after school. It was a routine. Batman the Animated Series and this show, G.I. Joe Renegades. But Batman the Animated Series, I'm getting through. I get all the Blu-rays, or it wasn't Blu-rays at that time. It was just DVD. Wow, that's so weird. It feels almost archaic now. And it's like, that was right. What, like not even that long ago?
Yeah, you see collections of DVDs these days, and it's like, nice. It's almost like books, It's weird. I never thought I'd say that, but like DVDs have kind of gone the way of books, especially when you like compare the quality of like the storytelling. I mean, yeah, you still get some bangers these days, but like I feel like Hollywood is kind of being humbled at the moment. But I digress. That's a whole nother thing. Please continue. But I just thought that was a good point. Like your bookshelf behind you right there. You could replace that with DVDs. It would just be, it would almost be as legit these days. People are like, oh, he likes movies. Yeah.
No, it's great, man. And so it was that. And then I was like, Batman Arkham City, I finished right before Christmas. One of my favorite games of all time. I've been there probably start to finish like 3 times. Love that game. And that was 2011. And it was also the same year, I think, the New 52 started. But anyway, so in the Arkham games, they'd have these things. I'd always gravitate towards, even with the Lego Batman game, there was this video game magazine, and I would literally rip out pages from the magazine from my uncle's dentist office and just read the character bios. Waylon Jones is Killer Croc's real name. He was this. Two-Face is Harvey Dent. He was a district attorney. Mr. Freeze trying to cure his wife. And I learned these characters inside and out from what little I could. And then I'll gravitate towards, the Batman Arkham City. They had these character bios. I would read them painstakingly, and it would be like first appearance, this issue number. I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. And I'd look up lore online, and eventually I was like, they keep referencing these comics. Why have I taken so long to read them? Like, I want to know all this. I want to experience these stories. I want more Batman, more whatever. And I just look up like best superhero comics, and I came across like someone was like Batman Hush is the best one to read for new people. Someone had said that, and I read it, and first of all, spoiled right out the gate with that Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Alex Sinclair art. Like, I mean, that's spoiled, but that was my first comic. I got that for Christmas, and I read some older Batman comics too, and from there I started reading Long Halloween, Batman Year One, you name it, I would read whatever. And that expanded. And eventually, it would kind of come back in phases. And then finally, it was like, I think the first really deep dive I did, like as in a full run and not really collections, was I started reading Chris Claremont's X-Men run with giant size X-Men. And then into that, and I'm almost done with that run, by the way, but I'm at the part where there's now 1 million spin-offs. So it's like, I have 10 issues of X-Men left, and then I'm looking at my reading order and I'm like, but that includes between issues 268 and 269. It's like 10 issues of Wolverine take place between those issues. Like 20 issues of Marvel Comics Presents, 2 issues of New Mutants, a Wolverine graphic novel, and I'm like, oh my god, you know.
Oh yeah, and we got John Douglas in the chat.
John's good man, good man.
Yeah, I agree. He says it's always good to see Vaughn, and you know, that always feels good coming from John here. I got all your links in the chat, and yeah, like what you're saying here, it's like late stage multiverse, you know, with all those spinoffs and stuff. You get that with big IPs too, in general. Like, what is it? The March of the Rohirrim is one of the big recent spinoffs that was announced. But even that, the Lord of the Rings universe is expansive enough, you know what I mean? It's doable. It's not like inventing an entire timeline or something, you know. But yeah, I digress. So Phenomenova, the story, I noticed your guy has lightning powers. That's cool. That's cool.
So that was when I was little. It bothered me for some reason that Flash should have this lightning symbol and he didn't have lightning powers, but he had super speed. I don't know why that bothered me. When I was a little kid, that did bother me. And I said that once on social media, and everyone's like, Vaughn, you're an idiot. Like that's, and I'm like, well, I was also in 2nd grade, you know. So I mean, it's but so anyway, I decided, you know what? I'm making a superhero with lightning powers and super speed. And so I come from a film background. I also loved acting. So I was like, oh, I'll direct the movie, I'll write the movie, I'll star in it. And my, of course, childish idea was I'll pitch this to Hollywood people and they'll love it. Now I never really learned to draw because I was just too ADHD. I'd be like, screw this. So I would just write down all my ideas. I'd have like a series of movies planned. I think there were 7 I wanted to do. And then eventually I realized like a serialized format was better. And then eventually, you know, funny enough, while I was at film school is when I decided to pivot it towards a comic book.
That's interesting because I do liken comic books and movies a lot. So they're both visual medium, for example.
Both visual mediums.
Yeah, think of the camera angles and all that. So yeah,
you do. You have to think of the power of an image. There's similarities, there's differences, but yeah, I'd say they're pretty close. I'd say the comics, like the bridge between film and novels, is, you know, what I would say, because there's certain like things you could do writing wise you can't do in film that you could do in comics, and there's things you can do in comics that you can't do in films. And you know, as I was transferring my script from screenplay format to comic books, it heightened the differences and what I could do in one and couldn't do in the other. And I love that, and it really actually deepened my love for both mediums, and it made me go, oh man, I can't convey this information this way in a comic book, but like, how did they do it? Because I feel like, oh, they did it this way. So my mind drew, like, it would kind of be like, oh, this character didn't move between the panels. I imagine, so that's how it works. You have to kind of imagine the movement. And, you know, it was really taking these off the shelf. And that's why, even though a lot of what I've read, most of what I've read is digital, you know, when I have to read hundreds of issues, right? But there's something about having it on the shelf. It's just, you can't replace that. Like even earlier today, I was doing a short little video. I've been doing shorts. And it's like just having it on the shelf is just, it's so nice. So.
Oh yeah. You get that. I like that. I like how that starts though. You were just bothered by the lightning symbol. And I mean, like, yeah, that shows why like the look of the superhero is very important. The suit. I mean, in particular with superheroes, at least, but yeah, because like, I mean, not even just kids, right? Even just people will latch on to things like that, and I mean, I could go further into that, but like, yeah, good choice actually lining up the electricity with it. I mean, that's sweet.
Yeah, basically it's like because I had to figure out how it works, and it's weird. I couldn't find any characters that had lightning and super speed specifically. And I was like, there we go. Like, so he channels it into his body. So it's really another application of his lightning. So he can strike someone and then he could channel it and move lightning fast is
That's cool.
how I decided to do it. I wanted my characters when they had powers really have one power essentially, or like multiple powers, but they're all connected. In fact, the last issue I wrote, I want to write issue 5 soon, but I'm afraid if I start getting in the flow of it that, well, you know, I'm in the last like week or so of promoting, and this is basically my life right now. Well, last week of promoting Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and so while I'm doing that, you know, I'm putting stuff on hold. But issue 4, I kind of decided the theme of it was going to be showing how these characters, because Phenomenova is the name of the team that he joins, how their powers are connected. How you have to view it as one in different applications.
Yeah. Right now, with my writing, I don't personally have like a superhero per se yet. I with my full length, by the end of it, the whole thing is kind of an origin story of a major figure, and I guess you could count her as like a superhero towards the end. Like I could actually probably have her match up against some other like indie creator characters, but compared to the super speed and stuff, I don't know how she'd match up. Just compared to that, because it is quite godlike. Is it literally lightning fast speed? Like
that's what I envisioned. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be. Speed can be kind of hard. I found out that speed is kind of a weird power to write in terms of visuals.
It is, yeah.
Like even with my artists, I'd be like
visuals. I see. Okay, yeah.
That too. But I was going to say even with visuals, because it's like, okay, I want all this done, because like in a film script, you don't write it like paneled out, right? You're taught hands off and then figure that out later.
Yeah.
But there is no production team. There is no cinematographer. There's no director. There's none of that. There are no actors. There's no prop department. None of that between you and the artist. So in a way, it's kind of a more pure creative vision, but it also means you have to either take control or relinquish control or decide exactly how much control you want. And that often depends even within panels on the same page. Oh, this panel kind of draw whatever, but this one I have a specific vision for. Or this whole sequence kind of do whatever. You know, it's finding that balance. And I think my artists and I were a lot slower in the beginning. And then by the end, we were moving fast, man. It depends. It really depends. It was in the beginning, my colors, and I was learning to stop, let them do their thing. Like with my issue 1 covers, I was much more on top of things. And then my issue 2, I had a list of ideas for covers, and my artist comes up with something that is, I had like 10 ideas for my issue 1 cover. Artist comes up with something that's like, okay, that's so much cooler and more eye-catching than any of the 10 I came up with. I'm not even going to show you that. Then I got 2 variant covers in actually, or 2 covers in for issue 2. I think I'm only going to do 3 covers for issue 2.
Yeah.
But
I'm doing 3 for mine. I feel like 3 is a good number. I mean, it's not to disparage, you know, anywhere north of that, but like,
I didn't even, I've always said I'm not a huge variant cover guy.
Yeah.
But dude, when you have a murderer's row of artists that you're friends with, and you want to work with all of them,
I hear you.
That's where it comes out, because like I can't pay them all to do a full issue. I wish I could. Yeah. Or I was like, there's a ninja chick. I was like, hey, Bill, I text Billy Tucci, can you do like a She homage cover? He's like, dude, I have like 20 commissions. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
But like little exceptions like that, it's like, it's okay. Those people are gonna buy that.
Yeah. I'm kind of sticking with Luke Stone for the time being. Just because monetary.
That guy. No, I'm kidding.
I know, he's the worst. I debated him last night. Superhero debate actually. So
what'd you debate him on?
Should supers be forced to register? It was a fun debate. But
what side did you take?
I chose Big Daddy Government. Yeah, make them.
Wow. Why?
Yeah.
Why, you communist?
No, the opposite. I was called a Hitler, brother. That's the end result of
same difference.
Yeah,
same difference.
Depends who you ask, right? It's like, are they right wing or are they left?
Who cares? They kill people by the millions. I don't care what wing they are.
Exactly.
They're the bad wing.
If the end result is millions of deaths, then it doesn't
That's the
matter.
thing, dude. I barely pay attention to like politics either. It's so
Mhm.
like, you know what's funny is this is how disconnected I am. Honestly, is I'm sitting there. It was like a Saturday reading the new Nexus on my porch. Sorry, we'll get back to. I do want to hear your argument for this disgusting argument you have.
I was planning on going over it at some point with you. As soon
Yeah.
as we got into the superhero talk, I was like, okay, this is
Yeah, we will. But I was reading the new Nexus on the porch, and my mom comes in and goes, "He's okay, but Trump just got shot." And I'm like, you know what's the worst part about that? I barely had any reaction. I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I'm like, "Wait a minute, why am I not surprised at all? Is this where we're at?"
I kind of had the same thing.
I had like no reaction, and I'm like, "This is messed up. Am I this desensitized?" It kind of took me back for a second.
At first, my wife was like, "Oh, did you hear what happened?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh, that happened." I was like, "Actually, I think I did kind of hear that, you know, because that's the thing. I heard like whispers of it, and I was like, headline, you know, whatever, who cares?" Then she told me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And then she's like, "Yeah, he got hit in the ear." I was like, "Wait a minute, hold on, he got hit?" And then like that's when it started clicking. Like it wasn't until like talk of like the blood and like actually getting hit where I actually started like I was like, oh shit. And then yeah, it's like that tells you like we're all kind of desensitized to that. I don't know how many people had a slightly delayed reaction like that, but I'm sure we're not alone, you know.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're either just not surprised or what, but yeah. I'm right there with you though. I try to stay as much in the center, not take sides as I can, but we can't help but hear about what we hear about and have some of the opinions that we have about certain things, which gets us labeled, no matter how center we want to be or unaffiliated.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah,
the labels are just annoying. I try not to use them in general.
They're dehumanizing. Yeah.
Well, it's that, and it's also like, oh, you're this. Well, then you said, then why don't you agree with this? I never said what are you talking? Like, it's that kind of thing. It's like, oh, well, if you believe this, then you must. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Chris Claremont's X-Men run is my favorite run. Does that mean that there aren't, like, do I think everything in there was perfect? No. Okay. Madeline Pryor is a mess.
Right.
Why does Scott meet this one chick and then in like within less than 10 issues, he's married to her? Are you kidding? Right?
Nothing's perfect, man.
Cyclops is my favorite X-Men, but are there things that like happen that I'm like, yeah, that's dumb.
Right.
But anyway, if you think speed is circle to square, try ice powers when observing the laws of thermo. Okay, yeah. I have a character with who can control temperature. Wrangler, you might have to talk to me. Reach out to me with anything. There's this one character I have, I'll just say it, named Thermo, who's going to be introduced in issue 3, who's a member of Phenomenova. My buddy who's super into science, he was kind of based off my friend. We brainstormed him together. Came up with this character Thermo, and he can control temperature. So super heat, super cold. He could do all kinds of things with it's a very simple power, but it's also complex when you think about the nature of it. John's Longbox is an electrician. I have to consult on some lightning stuff. He was telling me, I'm like, all right, what are the things that bother you most about lightning powers in media? He was like, oh, you can't get struck by lightning while you're in the air. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you're not grounded. And I was like, what?
Yeah, you need a grounding force for sure. Yeah.
Well, because I don't know. First of all, I like superpowers. Don't ask me the science of them. I'm so bad, I'm bad at science.
And I'm like the opposite of with my magic system. I was like, so I'm not like the most savvy with science either, but I just need like I need to be grounded. You know what I mean, in a sense. So I just simplified mine. But anyway, yeah, like I'm like the opposite with that. That's interesting. I appreciate the softer power system though.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I like it too. I think it gives me more. Like I was deciding at one point, I was like, do I want a hard system? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh well, maybe this is the world set it apart different. And I was like, well, why do I like the comics I do? Well, because there's so many different characters. X-Men. Oh, they're mutants. It's okay. It could be whatever. Some of them aren't mutants. Some of them are. And I was like, well, let's just do that. Let's just focus on the creativity of okay, they've got the powers. Now, what do we do with them? Like if we had to limit. I was like, I have so many ideas, and I'm going to have to chop down or change so many of my favorite ideas if I go too hard into the magic system or the power system. And so I decided not to go crazy with that and decided I'm very much a character-based storyteller. You know, I put characters first. And that's why my first issue, despite it being called Phenomenova, doesn't have Phenomenova in it. It doesn't have the team. Yeah. It has because the main character needed to build his way there. I felt like he wasn't ready, and he needed to become ready.
Right. You need that origin story. I have a whole full-length novel just to that, but like, and then started writing spin-off short stories essentially just throughout history, like little events basically. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna flesh it out that way, and I can start incorporating this character that now exists via, you know, the big first novel or whatever. I can start incorporating her into like the historical events.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like, I see what you're getting there. You do need to start somewhere, you know, and I mean, what do you call it? Do you brand it as like your main character's name and then start a whole new series called Phenomenova after, or whatever, you know what I mean? Or do you do you do Phenomenova the team, and then after the fact there's the prequel origin stories, you know?
I just left it as one series. Like My Hero Academia, for example. Okay, you don't see the school for the first couple.
Right.
And issue 2 is already in production, so
yeah.
Fret not.
No, I hear you. It's just like one of the paths, you know what I say? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you go about doing that? Because like, there's no proper way, you know. There isn't. Some people could call you on the Phenomenova thing. The team's not even in it, whatever. But that's like, does that? That's the title. Does that really take away from the story? Is the story good? Like, is the comic good? Is the art good? You know, like that's one little hang up. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's like having a movie called Paris, but it's about Paris Hilton instead of Paris. And then you're like, well, where's Paris? It's like, she's been to Paris, sure. You would expect her to be there, but like, maybe that's not the point of this particular first.
It's an interesting comparison.
It's only because I recently found out that that Men Don't Read article that recently came out. 80% of Canadian readership is female, and like, I found out one of the statistics involved with that is a lot of books are like these biographies from celebrities and stuff that have primarily female readership. Like, for example, Paris Hilton's biography. So it was just in the back of my head still. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting, the statistics. And I mean, that article was very clickbaity, basically calling everybody gay. You know, that was the whole joke when I was on James Craig's channel talking about it. It's like, well, I guess everybody on the show and in the chat right now is gay because we're all dudes that read. Yeah, we all read. So this is news to me. Somebody tell my wife. You know, it was a funny thing, though. Little joke, but yeah. So you said your system is softer, so you don't have like the cosmic force, like making up a champion for you, like Silver Surfer, or you're not Kryptonian or anything like that. Like, what's can you get into
Yes, absolutely. So my main character, so I had come up with the origin story. I wanted him to have a full-on superhero origin story, not born with it. But so, you know, Miles, he is struck by lightning. Should I share my screen or no?
You can. Yeah.
All right. Which campaign should I share? What does your audience mostly prefer?
You know, I think they're down for anything. They just love good indies.
All right. Well, I'm on Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and Fund My Comics. So I'm going to show Fund My Comics.
Yeah. My artist is Luke Stone, so that's perfect.
Oh yeah. Okay. Perfect. We're at the right audience. So Fund My Comics. So Miles Hanksley is struck by lightning while holding this mysterious crystal that he finds in a cave, and it absorbs into him, bonding with him and the lightning. All combining to one, and he becomes Galvanite. And so he dons this makeshift costume in issue 1. I want him to really build up to his true superhero costume. And here we have this. This is what it looks like.
That's cool.
And eventually that's what he does. So his powers, when he discovers them, he kind of decides, I want to be a superhero. This is perfect, because there have been superheroes before in this world. So during World War III, which is 20 years earlier, Miles, you know, his father was a hero that fought not a superhero. His father was like a war hero who fought during the war, but there were also superheroes called the Crusader Corps that fought during the war, and he's inspired by them and their bravery. And now that he has powers, he wants to be like them. And so he decides to take up arms, and there's this heist on the news going on at a nuclear reactor. So he decides, I'm going to intervene. This is my chance to shine. And he finds himself in face to face with this supervillain that is just totally out of his league.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my thing. So every cover, what I actually like is every cover conveys something different, which is part of why I actually came to kind of like it. Because, you know, you have him getting the powers right here. And then you have this one where he's got them now and he kind of feels powerful. This one is an homage to Final Fantasy VII.
Yes, I kind of got that vibe a little bit. It was like, it reminds me of something. I can't put my finger on it. Yeah,
and then here we go. This one is done by Rini. This one is him facing the villain in the reactor. Dark Cloud is our main villain. And then this is the Crusader Corps behind him as he's getting struck by Buzz. And this is great. And we are like, I want to say 150, we might even be less dollars away from everyone unlocking this mini print for free with their order. So
heck yeah.
If you want this, make sure you get it. The book, we're close to closing out on Indiegogo and Kickstarter if you want it there. And if you back on Fund My Comic, you're guaranteed to get an exclusive free mini print of our main villain right here. This is free with your order. And then here we go. There's this right here as well. This is the back cover. No matter what your front cover is, this is our back cover. It's an homage to Bloodstrike #1 by Frege and Liefeld. So if you're interested in that, make sure you do that. And then our fan art contest winner, which was just announced recently, is Brett Barkley. If we get 300 backers, which we're at 270 right now, it's a backer goal, so it's another stretch goal. So if we get 300, then he will draw a trading card of, as chosen by the chat, our main villain, Dark Cloud. So
hell yeah, that's some good rewards there. I like how you have different like posters and prints and stuff for the tiers too. That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I have some stuff like that, like stickers and all that. You gotta. It's just nice to get.
So maybe for my next campaign I'll do stickers and stuff, but for this one,
oh yeah, there's like
book focused.
There's like a quick list of the go-to merch items. I know this from my band days. Shirts, stickers, coasters, the whole nine. Just anything you can think of.
All right. Shirts, stickers, coasters I hadn't heard of.
Yeah, coasters. Yeah, anything you can think of that's just like printable. Because like a coaster is basically the same as a sticker,
hats.
but it's, hats. Yeah. You can just keep going. Like think of anything a band has. Keychains. Like you can just keep going. My buddy Justin from Evely Music, he's the co-host of Iron Age Nights. He suggested guitar picks just because of my musical background. I'm like,
no, that's awesome.
Well, guitar picks I would want to do for more of like a musical project, but I can totally see it. Like if each guitar pick had like a different character's face on it, maybe I could see that.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. But so I like where this is going. Do you have any like problems with power differentials, like street level villains versus like god tier? You know what I mean?
Right now, my main villain that we see in issue 1, he uses technology, which kind of shows that, okay, just because you have powers doesn't make you unstoppable,
Yeah.
That humanity kind of has had to try and catch up to, okay, so the superhumans aren't they're common enough where everyone knows of them, but it's not like there's one on every block, right? So they're still powerful, but one can do a lot of damage. A team of them can do a lot of damage. So now super criminals, if they want to do something big, they got to step up their game. And so it's forced them to kind of use tech, and now we have our main villain Dark Cloud, who's just a total force to be reckoned with. Right. And when it comes to street level villains and heroes, you're saying? It depends. Like my characters, I didn't want to be like Justice League levels OP. You know,
Yeah.
they're
That's
more
what I was
akin
kind
to
of
the
getting at.
X-Men and like Teen Titans.
Interesting.
But they're or New Mutants, you know, they're not quite there. You're gonna see them trained by one of the heroes that fought during World War III, and she does outclass them. And even the members within the team, you could tell there's the MVPs of the team, and there's ones that are still learning. You know, they're not quite there yet, which is I like writing characters that are behind that. This is where I want them to be. This is where they are. And so they're not going to face like cosmic threats, you know, right now. They're not equipped to deal with that. They're not ready. They're far from that. As they get better, I will have to make stronger villains, but I'm okay with kind of, you know, I think the fact that this guy with just tech can take them on in such a way shows how strong this villain is, but also shows that, you know, they're still going to have some difficulties coming up against these villains, and that's fun. It does allow me, because they're not too powerful, it allows me to be more creative with the villains in certain ways, in the sense that I can have those crazy powerful threats, right? And they're going to be a threat, but I could also have lower level threats and they could still be a threat, you know?
Well, even in layman terms, you could have a poor struggling family that has nothing but a pitchfork to their name or whatever, and then somebody with a gun comes along, and that's like a superpower, right? Like the gun in this case would be like the crazy threat, and this is a very low level power system, right? We're talking a pitchfork and a gun, and the difference is like the dude is maybe a dad with the willpower to get through it and become a hero, right? But yeah, like you can have like power differences like that, but keeping it at a low level, think of all the room that story has to breathe. Just like the protagonist is an underdog. There's no other details to it. It's just like pitchfork versus gun, protect my family. You know, like there's all this nuance to it, and you can absolutely get more creative. Versus like my next question was if you have any plans to have like a Galactus type figure, and you know, you're kind of pigeonholed into a certain category with your Galactus type figures, because they're so powerful, because you like reach this certain point, they're just godlike. And even when you're thinking of explanations, they're kind of pejorative explanations, like, oh, he's a primordial force from the beginning of the universe or something, so he eats galaxies, you know, like,
you know, here's the thing, I don't have a threat like that, I'll say, in my plans anytime soon, because my character's just, like I said, I'm a character-based storyteller. So I wanted a villain that outclasses, really any villain would kind of outclass my main hero right now, but we're not there yet. I don't think that's what I want to say right now. Anything with that, like if a Galactus character would come up, luckily there's no editorial telling me to do that, because they'd have to level up like crazy, or I'd have to come up with something, or I'd say, oh, some of the heroes from World War III helped them, but even they would probably struggle with that. How would they handle a Galactus level threat? I'd say let's cross the bridge when we get there.
Because
let's get some outside help, or you know, they'd have to go on a cosmic journey. And
maybe some aliens, whatever. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like when you introduce that super high powerful character, you're almost forced to do certain things. Like, how do you get Iron Man there? You know what I mean? Like, how do you get the Flash there? Like, you have to like almost discover aliens, or like have them work together in some way. But even with them working together, they have to do it in a certain way, because they're freaking fighting like Galactus. Now, I think in those instances where it was like Galactus versus Earth or something, I think a lot of times it wasn't like Silver Surfer involved to kind of act as a proxy. I think I'm not super savvy with that, but I think that's how they got away with like this giant amorphous godlike being interacting, is just by interacting in the form of like a superhero. So like he exists, but they're not like physically trying to punch the Lovecraftian force of nature that exists in space or whatever, you know. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. All of my characters, like, I'm very character driven as well. My comic is the short story I wrote that is the most parade of characters, for lack of a better term. I think it's really interesting to start off with that, because you always have something else to write. You're just describing another character, you know, like with cool, like reminiscing about his backstory, or just like getting into the fun details of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, RJ makes a good point. It's only the story you want to tell. Yeah, there's smaller scale stories where like I'll have one off with members of the team, kind of like X-Men, how they'd have Like sometimes Wolverine goes against Lady Deathstrike, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
You get right to the story you want to tell. If you want to tell a team going up against this big, and that's the thing, they could have big threats and then still have smaller ones after. It's not like the X-Men never fought smaller opponents after the Dark Phoenix saga, right? Well, we can't do anything again after Dark Phoenix. That's not true. It's not true.
Well, they're trained by kind of like a worldwide threat in the form of Professor X. If you think about it that way, he is, I mean, you have to put him in a wheelchair, right? You have to give him these handicaps because the dude is so powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think legs really would be a huge factor as a telepath. Right. It's not like, thank God he can't walk. It doesn't matter. He could still just decimate you.
But you imagine giving him super strength or super speed on top of it, or it's just like not. Yeah, like just like, back it up a little,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, that kind of gets into the superhero registry a little bit, like
let's hear it.
But before we get into that, I do want to just say that like a lot of my heroes are like street levels, so that's why I brought up like matching up our characters and was asking about power levels and stuff. This is something I'm really interested in because I would really like to make like essentially biography cards for everybody's character, or stat cards, character sheets. Character sheets of like everybody's character, and then really just kind of like compare them, even if mine are just getting bum crushed over and over again. Just being able to submit stats to like you, for example, if you were doing the show of comparing characters or something. But what I'm realizing is even with my magic system, because of how like grounded, for lack of a better term, I am with like needing to understand how things work in my world, and it comes off less soft, even though it's like a hard magic system that's simple, if that makes sense, and it feels soft because of it, because I really don't have to explain much. All the clues are right there in your face. But essentially my superpowers are kind of like separated from my characters in a sense. So right off the bat, every single one of them has a weakness in the form of like, you just get that item away from them, right? Your dude has super speed, right? So literally any of my characters, as soon as he identifies that, it's over. Like because my people still have like reflexes, normal reflexes. So you just run up, pluck the thing out of their hand, knock it off their head or whatever's going on, and the battle's over. But I do have to say, when I compare our two characters, the powerful one that I'm thinking of from my novel, by the end of it, she's just getting to the point where she can match up with somebody like yours. Just getting to that point, right? And it's only because she's made her body the magical item. So it's not like you can just knock her blood out of her bloodstream with your super fast guy, for example.
Well, that's one of the things where it's like, okay, if I'm gearing up my and this is why I think when I've had people tell me their superhero ideas, like one friend of mine, God bless him, but he was like, my character is stronger than Superman. I'm like, you just lost me right away.
Yeah, because Superman's whole thing is.
Well, if your whole thing is starting from this character is more powerful than this, I don't care about that, dude. What is your character about, right? Like, I don't care if my character can beat the Flash. It's not the point. That's not the point.
It's not the point. I think it generates
my culture. Character.
That's the whole thing for me. It isn't the point, though. Yeah. Anyway.
He like at the end of issue 1, if he's not that much of a powerhouse, because he still has a lot to learn. He's not going to be the ultimate badass I want him to be for a little while. And that's okay. He's going to be getting better throughout the series, improving his powers throughout the series.
Right. That's another interesting question I'm curious about too, with how your characters level up. Like what's your guy's name again? It's not Phenomenal.
No, it's Galvanite.
Galvanite. That's such a dope name.
Thank you. Yeah, it took a while. There were so many lightning names that were taken. But I finally settled on it, and I was like, yeah, this is good. Dude, I was hesitant at first because I'm like, he's not a knight. And I'm like, all right, he doesn't need to be a literal knight. Batman's the Dark Knight. And I'm like, okay, then it works.
Right.
But when it comes to progression, issue 2 is a training issue. Before he even meets one member of the Team Phenomenova, but he's being trained by a member of the Crusader Corps in issue 2. I just got 2 covers in for that today. And I'm figuring out what I want to do with my third. But you know, with issue 2, it's like, the way I had to figure that out actually. So with issue 2, I decided to tie it into, I know which powers I want him to learn and how I want him to be able to use this. And I was like, well, let's really focus on 1 for this issue. Yeah. And I kind of was like, well, why don't we make it about discovering the core of his powers so that way he can do it. And I tied it in with like, he's kind of got a bit of crisis of conscience in issue 2. Yeah. Kind of struggling.
Struggling like
internally, and it's affecting his powers. It's like
he's conflict with his heart.
And kind of like, because he fails, he messes some stuff up in issue 1, and now we've got someone who's at conflict, and so I try and kind of intertwine them. But so he'll be trained heavily by his teammates and by other characters, and then he has to apply those lessons in combat. He has to comply, whether that be in training sessions in combat or against villains. He will be taught training sessions from one of the heroes who fought during World War III, as well as his fellow teammates.
Yeah.
He'll be taught to mix martial arts with it and meditate on his powers and all sorts of different things.
Cool.
And then he'll also have to learn lessons and apply them in combat situations too.
Mixed martial arts is pretty brutal for somebody who can go super fast. That's pretty brutal. Yeah. So it's like a technical skill level.
Yes.
Up. Okay.
So
because I would imagine he would just be able to channel more and more lightning.
I guess he could do that too, but I'm more interested in applying. Before we just do that, I'll level up his powers. Let's explore the ones we have.
Yeah.
The ones you got to get there. How I've been doing it is like, how many applications can there be to his current power set? And then if you want to level up that power set, that's fine. But that's how I'm doing it. It's just how many different applications and how efficient can he get at applying those things is really how I've been training it. Not as much, oh, well, now we can do even more watts. You know, that's not really what I'm not saying I'm not against that. But I'm thinking of it right now in terms of
it comes with it. Yeah.
Making sure he could do everything he can with his current wattage or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then he can expand it. And then he can expand it.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. My old boss used to say that. Wisconsin warehouse manager. They had a sign hanging up and everything. So it's drilled into my head, Vaughn. But yeah, it's interesting because I'm just thinking like the eventuality would be like, yeah, he's like eventually like a kung fu master, can do like all that faster. He can run faster and faster, I'm sure, but like there's only so fast you can really go. And then like, yeah, channeling more lightning, and then it's hotter lightning. That would be a way to do it too. Just like more potent lightning. I do have that in my story. Like anytime my lightning is a weird color, you can bank on it being like messed up, man. Like
I that was very particular on he was gonna have yellow lightning.
I like that.
I was very particular on that.
Did you know yellow was chosen for Pikachu because it is one of the most gender neutral colors? Originally, the spokesperson Pokemon was going to be Jigglypuff, but American audiences were
I didn't know that was I knew that Jigglypuff was more feminine. And
Clefairy. Sorry, not Jigglypuff.
Clefairy. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're actually in the first episodes of the official manga, which is a little bit more adult than people realize.
I've heard.
Yeah, it's awesome. To be honest, I own a few of them. Worth looking back and checking out. You know,
I'm a Pokemon guy, so I haven't played though the last game. I've had it for like a year. Never played it.
I played it, I beat it, and I didn't get to the DLC because I don't really know how I feel about the direction they're going with it.
I don't like, I'll be honest, they're making the games too easy. I didn't even finish the Diamond Pearl remakes, and that's my generation. That's my favorite game. One of my favorite games of all time is Pokemon Platinum. They're going out of their way, and people are saying, "Oh, it's just because you're older." Which, first of all, most of the fans are older, but second of all, no, because they actually are adding XP boosts. They're removing things that force you to learn the game mechanics. They're removing things that made the game harder. They're going out of their way. Oh, let me give an example. Chimchar, right? For the first gym, I always looked forward to struggling through the first gym because every time I play through that game, and I played it many times, I choose Chimchar, right? Every time.
Yeah. You gotta the Goku monkey, man. You gotta get the Goku monkey. Yeah.
So what I like about the first gym is that it's like tough to beat because it's a rock type. You have a weakness. I like that. And then they added a fighting type move on Chimchar to make that power up punch to make that gym easier.
Yeah.
That is a deliberate choice to make it easier.
I don't know how far back you go with Pokemon, but one of the hardest ones is the first game. The first game is one of the hardest Pokemon games. I mean, that's granted.
It was, you know what it was? The one that screwed it up was X and Y.
Yeah,
X and Y is the one that screwed it up.
I missed that one. I was off doing band stuff at the time. I came back
too
to Pokemon.
Easy.
Yeah. Is that that's not the one with Hawaii, is it?
No, that's that one. They actually added some challenge back, and people were really happy with it. They added challenge back.
Funny how that works. Yeah.
And then they ripped it away with the next one. So Sun and Moon, I would say, is the best one of the recent ones. It gave me hope, and then
because it's fresh too, right? It's not just gym leaders.
Yeah, it was fresh, which at first I wasn't crazy about, and then I ended up loving.
And there's some cool Pokemon on there, like the dragon design for that generation's dragon was cool, just like a fighting dragon.
Yeah, that one was
pretty
awesome.
brutal. Pretty brutal, man.
Fighting dragon type. Love it.
Yeah, because you're always giving dragons fighting moves. Yeah. Anyway, we could have a whole Pokemon stream.
Yeah, we should. So I want to expand, like, because I love talking comics. I'd love to have people on just to talk about all different kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, brother. Oh yeah. And I mean, if you have me on your show after this to promote my comic, we could.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Reach
out anytime. What's your book on?
What's it on? Fund My Comic.
Fund My Comic. Yeah, man. Reach out.
Yeah. I mean, whenever, man. I'm full on in my campaign, so just whatever works. I can.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Sounds good.
But Super's registering. The main thing was, should heroes register? So I think I won the debate right off the bat by kind of, after it started, I got everybody to acknowledge a difference between heroes and supers. Like, are we talking heroes registering? Because heroes, of course, should register because they're doing like political, military, like they're doing operations, right? Or whatever. Powers, though, I right off the bat established that, like, I can see why people would be more hesitant for that, because you're essentially asking everybody who is simply born a certain way to register. And then once they all admitted that, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, the title was Should Heroes Register? And I just made it about the deeper level there. So I think I won the outer debate there. But I don't know. It actually turned out to be more of a draw because Luke strawmanned me with the Hitler argument, which is fine.
What's the Hitler argument? You can't just say the Hitler argument.
Well, it's just like whenever anybody says, well, you know who else did that? Hitler, you know what I mean? It's just like the universal Hitler argument. You say, oh, you're going to make people sign up or register because they were born that way. You know who else did that to homosexuals? It was Hitler, you know what I mean? And he just like started framing the whole thing like that. And I'm like, probably a good play, you know what I mean? Because that would be the end result of registration is fascism, but then the end result of not registering is human beings become second-class citizens because we're all ants in their eye. And if you, my side essentially was arguing that they aren't human, even if they have human DNA, because there is a mutation, just in the same way that Neanderthals are not human, and Denisovans, even though we share much of the same DNA, there is differences in a very just pragmatic way. But Luke was right to call me on the dehumanizing thing. He said after the fact, he said that he got excited when I dehumanized him. I was like, damn it, dude.
Yeah, you're the villain in X-Men, man.
Yeah,
though, but that is a valid point. Like, okay, so they're not,
because there's the 2A argument too, right? It's like, well, we all have the right to defend ourselves, Vaughn. We all have the right to defend ourselves. Okay, well, even with our guns, machine guns, nuclear weapons, even, we have no hope of defending ourselves from Galvanite, even. You could just zap that nuke, brother.
You just have to get good.
Yeah, right.
Humanity has to fight back. You know what I mean? My argument would be, Well, this wave is here. If you're registering them, that means you have to be able to control them anyway. So even if they don't, okay, you know who's going to register? So the good guys are going to register, the bad guys won't. You still need to have plans for the good guys in case they turn. You need contingency plans like what Batman has. You need, and you're going to make those regardless. Even if they say, even if they will never turn, you have to make it. Even if it is the nicest guy ever, you need to have a plan to kill that guy.
Yes.
No matter what. You need to be able to counter anything, right? So you have to.
My preposition was essentially, you have them register, yes, in the same way that we already unfortunately have social security numbers. You just give them their own type of social security number. Maybe they get a counselor, somebody that they meet with. You know, it sucks. They're treated with all this, hesitation and stuff. But like, it is a thing. We have to register to fish. We have to register to drive, to vote, all that. So why not this? Luke made a good point. You're asking people to register simply for being born that way, not because they want to drive. There was another thing. My preposition was to roll this out with the idea in mind that you would also have like a police force, because it would hinge on the fact that you do need to get like a group of the most powerful supers to work for like each government. Like every government would have to have like their own police force to govern their own supers, because another one of my points was you can't just go into other people's countries and duel out your form of justice, whether it's American or personal. You know.
Well, in order to get them to follow your laws, you have to make sure that you have the power over them to make them submit.
Yeah, right? Unfortunately, yeah, you have to be. Yeah.
Do you think you have to? So first things first comes the plans. Asking them nicely. What if they immediately say no? Then
right, what? They could all be Homelanders. You know, they could all just. It could be a bunch of things. You know, it could all be Brightburn, if you remember that movie.
Yeah, that movie. What'd you think?
At the time, I was excited for the fresh take. In hindsight, I see why everybody is a little tired of the bad Superman thing.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I'm sick of it. I think The Boys just became literally just a political just lecture. I don't even think it's a show anymore. Like it's literally just it doesn't even feel like a creative show. It feels like a hit piece for anyone that I don't know.
Yeah, I could get that.
I stopped watching it. Like I just don't have a stop. Like season 3 to me was unbearable.
Oh, you mean The Boys?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The Boys, I did hear that was completely unbearable in season 3, and even the showrunner came out and said some pretty distasteful comments after the fact.
Yeah.
So, I'm good on The Boys.
Yeah, The Boys I've had enough of, and you know, and one of the things I talk about with my comics is you know, I'm sick of, in an age of deconstruction, that this comic is a reconstruction and a reconstitution of the superhero genre, you know, building up the ideals that are often being torn down.
Yeah, dude, that's the mindset. I think a lot of people are there. Any side of the aisle that you're on, we can all feel this momentum of decentralization. Like we're watching our heroes kind of be deconstructed and destroyed right in front of us.
Yeah, all of them. And it's not like it's just in Elseworld stories like Watchmen either. It's like the mainline stories are doing it. Mainline X-Men is doing it. It's just like,
yeah, it's the big ones, all the big dogs. So yeah, themselves is what it seems like.
And it's like, this is really making us feel better. This is making us it just sucks. Like it feels gross. Like I was reading the new X-Men stuff. Okay, even if let's say there are parts that are well written, parts that aren't, it's so morally bankrupt, and I hate it. It's like, this just makes me feel gross. Whereas the older ones, there was like an ideal. There was a professor, and then everyone's talking about Professor X like he's some horrible person, and I'm like, in the old comics he was not. He was very idealistic. He was a good man. Charles Xavier was a good man.
Part of my argument for the registration was, in case Professor X got brought up, I do have a lot of pretty based points that make him not look like the best person.
Yeah, let's hear it. Was it from modern writers?
No, it's just like the nature of what he was doing, like tricking the parents and not telling them, and like training the kids to be soldiers, and like, yeah, A modern argument would paint him as a groomer.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that is a rabbit hole.
Like I said, he is clearly a good guy, but like it's just funny when I went down the Big Daddy government route, I could just pull Professor X as an example. Like, look, great intentions, but he's clearly a groomer. You know what I mean?
Like, kind of. You
get this without registration, folks. You get this.
Yeah.
But it's fine. You're right though. Like, that's like this whole thing of like just changing these characters, right? It's just not a good look, and I feel like they don't really care how much money they're losing. They don't, and they just they prop the responses up that they get as like even more interactions. Like, oh look, 1,000 comments. Doesn't matter that
they're all hating you.
Yeah. Look at, we got 1 million viewers. We got 1 million.
It is, you know what it is? It's the same, and this is, we're seeing it everywhere. It's the instant gratification. It's the drama farming. It's the getting. It's what it is it's like, okay, yes, if I make a video complaining about something, right? Inherently, generally speaking, if I review what I think is one of the worst pieces of crap I've ever read, that's probably going to get more views than me talking about my favorite comic.
Right.
Most likely. Depends. But oftentimes, right?
Yep.
If I talk about how much a creator sucks, that's often going to get more views. If I do something controversial in my comics versus something good, right? Like, let me give you an example. How many people have talked about like, a new awful issue of something, right?
Yeah.
How many people talk about some of the good stuff that comes out?
Rarely. I think TMNT was one of the last ones. It was like
Last Ronin.
Yeah. That was one of the last ones.
So good. That was so good. I love that.
Yeah, it was the only Western comic not getting its milkshake drink by the East.
The milkshake drink.
Yeah.
Getting its milkshake drink. That is a good one.
Yeah. No, dude, like the East is destroying us. It sucks. So like,
we're destroying ourselves. They're not doing anything now. They don't.
Right.
Here's the thing. People keep going, oh, this is how they look at us. And I'm like, they don't look at us, period.
No,
what are you talking about?
Yeah,
they keep going. Yeah, like someone was like, well, I think that the manga market sees us. They don't see us, period. They're not thinking about us. We're the farthest thing from their minds.
You're right.
They're like, what are you like? Maybe occasionally someone will watch something and it'll be inspiring an idea, but from a business model, yeah, they don't care about us, dude.
Yep. And then when the American politics come, they just laugh at it. They're like DEI. How about JAP? Japan, let's go. You know what I mean? How about that? Yeah.
They don't care about that.
Yeah.
Dude. They don't. And they shouldn't. And then what bothered me is like, and the reason why I won't pay for Crunchyroll and stuff like that is because they're like trying to force their standards. And it's like, dude, isn't this like cultural imperialism? Like what you're trying to do? You're literally trying to change.
Holy crap! It is cultural imperialism.
Like it is. They're like, oh, you can't. We need to make you fit our standards. And first of all, we in the West. They're like, oh, we in the West don't think women should have this cup. Hold on, don't. That is anti-American. Is anti. You don't shrink a woman's breast.
That is not a Western.
That is anti-American. That's anti-woman.
It's part of our culture, sir.
That is part of human culture. It's one of the great unifiers across the world. Every culture likes that, man. All of them like that. What? Yeah, like what are you talking about, dude? Ridiculous. Like
we can all get behind that, and I think it kind of goes in the same vein as like what you were saying before about like cheap tricks. I think it was people will just do things, I guess, to kind of get a rise. Like you said, you could talk crap about somebody and get more views. You could be really negative in other ways. You could go drop troll comments, whatever. You could even make a wild claim about something you quote unquote believe without even believing it, just with the intent of getting 1 million.
Just the intent of getting reactions. Yeah.
I think one of those things that actually is deeply ingrained into comics is the lusty cover, the buxom cover. so to speak.
Yeah, I was considering doing that for issue 2, having that.
I was suggested to have one of my 3 be a lady cover.
Are you gonna do it? Because I'm considering that for my 3rd. It's so funny. That was what I was doing earlier today,
bro. Yeah. So in my story, it's very much like there's a bunch of orcs, and I do have 2 female characters, but like I'm not doing like a parade of superheroes, so they're more just like characters in the story, right? So I'm trying to think of a tasteful way to do it, because it would be cool to have like just not only just an actual cover that shows that there is like females in this story. Yeah, of course. But like maybe if I could do it in a stylish and tasteful way, because I know there's this whole trend of like muscly women too. They're called muscle mamas.
Muscle mommies, yeah,
or
muscle
yeah,
mommies.
yeah, or battle babes. So
Battle babes. I don't know if I know that one. All right.
That's the one. That's the one that Justin from Evely Music coined, I think, because he felt uncomfortable as a grown man saying "mommy."
Mommy.
Yeah. He said every time he said it, he felt more uncomfortable, so he just started saying "battle babes." And actually, while I'm talking about my co-hosts here, they wanted me to pitch you an invite to the Iron Seas podcast.
I'd love that, man.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
When
is that? Because I'm trying to get as many shows as I can before I.
We'll have Superhero Week. I'll talk to the boys after the fact. This is my show here is a little less organized than Iron Seas. Like over there, we talk about a movie, let the guest talk about their stuff for a little bit, and then some other topics randomly, like about storytelling and stuff, because we're all like authors and stuff. So, we would have a nice themed week for you too, and superhero movie for you to watch. It'd be cool. We go on Tuesdays.
Tuesday? Okay. I think I'm free Tuesday.
Okay. I'll ask them a specific Tuesday just to be sure. Because I think this week is Nick Cage week.
Nick Cage.
So
okay. I've been meaning to Long Legs I hear is good. Is Long Legs good?
I think I'm voting for Raising Arizona. I'm voting for Raising Arizona.
I love
but it's up against Gone in 60 Seconds and stuff.
So, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
All right,
Nick Cage steals a baby.
No, I know. I've seen Raising Arizona.
Nick Cage steals. Oh, okay, cool.
No, I've seen that one. It's the other one you mentioned that I haven't seen.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, but we could set up like a
superhero
week for you, man.
Yeah. I will. Maybe I'll go into Man on Indiegogo. We'll see. But I'll definitely be on Fund My Comics though, because and basically until I'm ready to print, my Fund My Comic will be up.
Okay. Perfect. But yeah, I'll talk to the guys here. We'll catch up with the chat really quick, and then we'll wrap up. Hold on one second. Okay, so RJ is like he claims he would be a superhero or super villain in my universe, which might be true. He says, let's see here. Yeah, he says, "Come and try to make me register." So I think I know
like it.
Yeah. And that's the problem, RJ. They're right there. That's why we gotta make them register. We gotta know. There was one other good point on that argument where they were like, so you make them all register. Now what? They're on a list somewhere. Superman goes nuts. What do you do now? And I was like, well, you have a whole profile on his friends and family, which you would have regardless of the registration, because Big Daddy Government's going to do what Big Daddy.
They're going to do it anyway. Yeah.
That was my main point. Do you want transparency, or do you just want more of what we see in real life, basically? But yeah, he says here, spoiler alert, I give writers like the boys a taste of their own medicine, Robert Heinlein style. Orion works for a government that Starship Troopers or Helldivers. Only the government is like Brave New World. Yeah. Oh yeah, you got to get those in there. So Huxley and Heinlein style. Cool. And here's Evely at the tail end.
What's going on?
And my wife, she says, "Hey guys, the dogs and child are being something else. LMAO. Sorry if you heard our bullshit in the background."
Oh no, it's okay. It's ambiance. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it ambiance.
She says, we're hooking it up to have AC. Yeah, because we just moved and stuff. This is our situation.
How is it?
It's
You finished moving?
Yeah. It's a little roughneck style, not gonna lie, to quote Starship Troopers earlier. A little roughneck, but you know what? Once we settled in after a couple days, we were like, there's some discomfort here, but it's not much has actually changed as far as like
It's like business as usual.
a little bit. Yeah, like here I am streaming with you. We're still able to do it, and that's the thing.
That's good.
Keeping everything going. So yeah, she's my editor and usually my co-host, but she's been a amazing wife and an amazing partner and just helping out with all this extra stuff.
And she likes comics.
Yeah,
very rare quality in a woman.
Right.
You know what? I noticed a lot more women like anime than comics.
They do, and I think it's the.
But I guess a lot more people do.
Oh God, you're right. Yeah, that's so true. I was talking about this the other day that men are more visual, so that's why you get like more men readers in comics, and
women, that's why women like erotica more than porn.
Right.
And men like
it's all up here. Yeah. The women, it's all up here. The men, it's all right here in the eyes.
Men will be like, I just like if you describe like what makes a girl hot. Men are pretty like if you really ask them, they'll dive into like, I like this trait, I like this trait. But if you ask girls, they're like, I like this.
Funny.
They gotta be funny. They gotta make this much. They gotta have this kind of vibes. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's like men will be like, like what's your cup size? Like whatever. Like men are. I feel like one of you know what I love, one of those things where these girls will be like, because they think they try to over intellectualize stuff that men don't think about. They're like, what can a girl do to make us fall in love with you? And the guys are just like, care.
Yeah, it's that simple. So I heard this thing.
That's it.
Yeah, dude. I heard this thing the other day that it's like, women do have like a lot of these certain standards, which is fine. That totally makes sense, man. It totally makes
women
sense.
should have standards. Men should have standards. Everyone should have standards.
Everyone should, yeah.
Realistic, not like an actual good standards, not just like the surface level stuff is nice too. But yeah, sorry, what were we saying?
Oh, just the fact that you could have the exact same situation where like a man all the time is there's many examples like this. A man all the time could be like doting on the woman, which is fantastic. It's great. You should show affection. But there's this level of passiveness and a lack of masculinity with always seeking approval, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, like your partner could even like love you through and through unconditionally, but there's just certain unconscious things in biology that's involved. For example, a woman can come home from work. The man could tidy up the entire house and make it like beautiful and nice and like keep everything clean. And then when she gets home, he could say, "Hey babe, could I have the card and go grocery shopping with your money?" and all that. And like all this stuff, it just hits differently when the man is the one at home doing all that. And it like even from a biological sense, like I'm not saying it's guaranteed that the woman will lose respect for the man, but it's just like you're almost as a man at a step back.
If you do too much to the woman?
Well, no, not that. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying like the situation hits different when the man is always seeking approval. Like if he has to say, "Hey, can I use your card with your money to go get all the stuff and shopping," even though he is like contributing and being a full member of the team or whatever, it's still like, it's our money, but at the same time, like there's something different about like the man actually going through with becoming the provider. Like I went and I got this. I went hunting today. Like there's like the DNA involved. It's crazy. And I'm not like a social scientist, but I was just hearing somebody talk about that the other day. So at risk of not rambling on too much about that, I'll just cut there. But
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. It is fascinating. Just like, and a lot of people like to look at the division between men and women and like view it negatively, but I think it's beautiful, man. It's like this dance. It's like this dance between very different creatures that are also the same, and we complete each other really. Like two halves to the brain, you know, two halves to the soul. Like it's just a beautiful thing. It's the music of humanity is love. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you, by the way, Evely, for how's it pronounced? Evely?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for backing. Thank you. And yeah, I've been doing stuff on my channel. I think I gotta go back to I gotta figure out like what a more regular show is. It's been so my channel has kind of represented my scatterbrain stuff. I finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that ending of that game was such a I don't know what the hell. And then I think Vaughn, Marion, and I are going to talk about it with some other people possibly. It's a nuts ending, dude. It's but the original. I mean, the original is crazy, but yeah.
What's nuts about it, really quick, before we wrap up here? You got my curiosity. If you don't,
have you played the original?
No.
I'd recommend playing the original because they do stuff where it's like, get it? Fans of the original will know this. And the annoying thing too, this is the problem with it. Look, I was able to play the original PS1 game, but a lot of people might not have the patience for that, you know. Yeah. And I love it, but I don't blame them. You know, and they do all this, they add all these alternate timelines, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? They had like multiple alternate timelines. And this character where they're like, did they die? Did they not die? You're gonna have to play the next one. And it's like, what?
Come on. That's cheap.
With the remake games, because the remake is basically splitting the original game into 3 parts, which I'm fine with, actually. But then they do some, first of all, way too many mini games and side quests. Now, to be fair, it's my fault for playing all of them, but I didn't expect it because the first in the remake trilogy was structured completely different from the new one. Oh yeah, Evely, if you want, you just started the Rebirth. Yeah, you ever want to come on talk Final Fantasies? I did a 2-hour video essay on the original Final Fantasy VII, 2 hours long. It was 49 pages. And then it didn't get enough views because YouTube decided they didn't want to promote this incredible video by yours truly. But if you go to my channel, it's just my name, Vaughn Coleman, scroll down, you'll be able to find Final Fantasy VII, a masterclass in storytelling. I love this. I think it's the best video I've ever made. Of course, YouTube decides what they want to promote from me, you know?
Oh, of course. As they do. Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole nother conversation. We've discovered like at least half a dozen seeds that we could just ramble on about. But yeah,
love it.
That's one of them is like, not just YouTube. Facebook, I think, is actually the most egregious example of this.
Oh my God. Facebook.
Like overnight.
They want you to pay for everything.
Literally. No, you nailed it. Yeah, that literally.
That's what it is. Same with Instagram. Like, because I had a friend, my friend Sukaisha, she was telling me, she's like, yeah, that's the case. They do that. They totally do that.
Even like $1, you'll see like a crazy difference. My wife tested it. She's like, because she has her tarot business on the side on Facebook. She does tarot for people, and like she was like doing very well with regular customers and stuff, and even people seeing her posts. But then like almost overnight, it's like it all shut off. People aren't even seeing the posts, and when they do, they interact with it. So it's like, people, you know what I mean, want to see it, but it's like, no, Facebook acknowledges that a lot of people run their livelihood out of there, and is going to try to like make life miserable enough to the point where they start just dumping money in hopes that something happens. You know what I mean? Which sucks, because it's like, well, and by the way, I feel like ads are really only good short term. Like,
you think so?
I'm not knocking ads like completely, right? Because like to a certain extent, people got to do it eventually.
Yeah.
But like if you're trying to win a contest or I don't know, promote a short-term sale of your book, that would be the way to maximize the actual profit and like reach the impact of it. Would be like, okay, well, my book is on sale for like $5 for like the next 2 weeks. So you do like a really cheap ad or whatever for exactly those 2 weeks, because that's the thing. The ad, you don't pay once and then the ad just plays forever or whatever. It's literally a time limit. Like, so that's how you see all the shit on Twitter, for example. Like, you ever been scrolling and it's just like random thing that you're just like, what the fuck? You know? Yeah. It's because there's literally other creators out there paying for that. You know, I see this band all the time, Solar Heavy. Shout outs to Solar Heavy. I've never listened to you in my life, but I see your ads all the time. And the reason Twitter advertises them to me is because it gets into my phone, and it sees my chats with my co-hosts, and it knows that me and Bat Sauce and Kahuna are building like a Warhammer style universe called Solar Heresy. So it promotes Solar Heavy to me. It's invasive, and it's like the algorithm at play, and it just shows kind of like what the game's all about. I digress. My whole point is like we're appealing to the algorithm now rather than our friends.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's I got to get back to making content for myself and not just for other people. Is tough, because if you make it for yourself, you often find stuff. But it's tough because I'm also working on my comic. I'm trying to find a balance.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Doing this show and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see here.
Thank you. I believe that's awesome, by the way. The Tifa and Eris theme played. That's so cool.
What did you say? The theme played is okay. Sick. Sick. Okay. All right. Yeah, my battery is dying, and I don't think my wife is gonna make it in time. Yeah, I got 3% on my laptop here. So, any last words? Oh, here she is. Actually.
I thought you meant your phone.
No, my laptop battery. Yeah.
Your human battery, your robot battery.
Yeah, my human battery too. Yeah.
I just bought the adapter, so we have to get the electrical hooked up, figured out, so we're not.
So we got 3%.
Did he just die? Oh my god! Oh, did he just run out of power? Is this the Vaughn Coleman show now? It's not just me, right? Like, this is happening. What do I do? All right, guys. Thanks for taking over. This is the Vaughn Coleman show now. What's going on, guys? Vaughn Coleman here. Today we're on a Pritchard pub. What do we normally do on this show? You got to fill me in. Oh, what's going?
There we are. Yeah. So my laptop died. Yeah,
I noticed.
So my laptop died. There's my wife.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm very sorry that I couldn't be here.
It's okay.
Wild.
It's okay.
But yeah. So how did it go?
The show went pretty well. I got one new backer, so that's good.
Woo! That's amazing.
Oh yeah, but it's been fun talking to you guys. Glad we finally got this to work.
Yeah, come on anytime. We're gonna be hopefully streaming more, and yeah, it's just
awesome. I'd love that.
The last final touches here with getting the electricity set up and stuff.
Sounds good. Yeah, reach out whenever. I'd love to come on.
All right, will do. And you have a show too, right?
I do.
Did Andy go on that? Or yeah, you're about to. Or...
Yeah, just whenever you want to come on my show, reach out and we'll make something happen.
Perfect.
All right. I will have Andy wrap it up because I know his phone battery is also dying too.
Yeah. This is what you get. This is what we get.
Next time we'll talk more. I have
absolutely.
Yeah, she has.
Okay, yeah. Whenever you want to have me back, I'd be happy to.
Well, her main question actually is, are you married? Do you have kids?
No.
Okay. Well,
living the single life. Hey, that's all right too. I very much enjoyed my time before my family.
He went to like film school and stuff.
Oh, that's amazing.
Where'd
you go?
Emerson College in Boston.
Sick.
Awesome.
Sick. Real quick before we go, are you familiar with Jake Calta?
No.
You should connect with Jake Calta. You remind me of him.
Okay.
He's another young king, basically.
Sounds good, man. Yeah. Thank you. All right, I'll reach out to him and let me know about the what was it, the Iron Age Seas?
Yeah, Iron Seas.
Seas.
I'll hit you up on the X, and we'll get at that.
Sounds good.
I'll talk to the boys.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, you have a good one, boss.
Thank you, Will. You too, man. It was great finally talking to you. It's been a pleasure.
Take care.
I will. Great meeting you too.
Yeah.
You too.
See you.
Thank
See ya.